Hello sunshines, it's me, Bethany, back for another sassy chat. And I love coming to Joy Club to talk about these types of conversations, sassy topics of convo. And today's theme is how to be single and kinky. And someone who, personally, I have been in the kink scene for about 6 years now. And for most of those years, I have been solo, hopping my way around here, there and everywhere, trying to learn, trying to level up my knowledge and my skills when it comes to kink. And often when we think about these kinds of relationships, these dynamics that fall under the beautiful BDSM category, we hear about them in conversation as a couple, with a partner or multiple people in your lives. So what you do when you're finding yourself full of these curious desires, these deep fantasies, and no one to play with. If you can relate to this topic, then hey, welcome. And I think at every point in our life, we might find a stage when we're again solo. So how do we step into our kinky desires from that place of solitude? Now, personally, I like to think about kink and BDSM in a way that is somatic. It's all about sensory exploration. It's about bodily touch. And it's also about our imagination, our minds, our mental stimuli. We can use both of these things, our minds and our bodies, to explore kinks on our own. And there's a real benefit to doing it on our own. I see one of them being that we can do it with full control of the words that are said, the touch that's given, and it allows us to really start to understand what turns us on, what gets us going, what's those deep desires. For example, let's talk about some wording here. For a lot of people, kink is the way that we might be addressed or spoken to. So honorifics are a big part. An honorific is usually something like sir, mistress, madam, daddy. Let's think of some more. If you're joining in from Joy Club, type it in the box. I want to hear what your honorific of choice is. Kitty, good girl, naughty boy, any of these labels that we might see. You can get a good idea for what are options when you look at kink brands who create collars and then they put a name there. I have one that says slut and I love it. Anyone who wants to turn me on, call me a slut, consensual slut. But I only got to that understanding of knowing this is something I wanted when I started to use my imagination. I started to play out fantasies in my own mind and explore what it would feel like if someone was to call me something. So that's a big part. And then there comes the step of saying things out loud. We can find vocalization so difficult, when in fact it's such an essential part of having consensual experiences with one another. If you're able to say to yourself, oh, I want you to squeeze my arm harder, then you're practicing how you can then say that to another human when and if that moment occurs. And the if part is quite important because for some people, the exploration of kink can be something they do only on their own. They do it in solitude and it gives them deep satisfaction and joy and nourishment, and they'll never need to engage with another human. So I just want to clarify that none of these things have to be something you live out beyond the four walls of your own identity. But if you are wanting to explore further and you're finding yourself solo, single, and full of these kinky desires where I was at probably about 3 years ago, here are some of my suggestions of how you can also develop and build relationships with people that feel right. Because when we're at a point of wanting something, unfortunately, it can make us feel a bit desperate and we might compromise on certain aspects of what we're looking for. And that's really detrimental to our own development, especially if it's something that's a vulnerable experience, it's a sharing of our body or our space or our deep desires, maybe things we've never said out loud. We need to feel like we can do it with people who we trust. And so it comes down to my motto that I live by, which is that kink is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And in doing so, you warm up, you train, you learn, you get fit, you feed yourself, and you treat it as this long, beautiful journey. You don't just sprint through it, because if you sprint through it with no warming up and no training, then you're going to sprain an ankle and you're going to get hurt. So I think the pace of which you embody your kinks and your desires and how you explore them and where you explore them are all really important things to consider, and not get desperate and not compromise. A nice way to be able to step into those worlds, at least in the UK, we have munches, we have socials, there's a lot out there. I'm often interviewing the people who find and gather humans, like-minded humans. So if you're looking for inspiration, head to the Sassy Show podcast. And I also think that by reaching out and looking for a community, you're able to learn what other things exist out there. It was only by going to events that I saw how huge the spectrum of kink is. And I was able to gather resources and knowledge and learn about workshops and parties and get invited to things where I was able to be like, yeah, I've never been to an event like this before. And they're like, okay, welcome. We'll show you the ropes. Do you have any questions? And the place where I felt the most amount of community in that sense was through Shibari. So if you're not sure what your kink looks like yet, or you're at a turning point and you're feeling a bit isolated, then maybe look into Shibari as a nice stepping stone. You've got a lovely, beautiful studio, a lot in London, a Philia studio, anatomy studio, and there's many more. So Google, do your research. I also think understanding your own kinky identity, how you want to present yourself, is quite a fun and joyful exploration, and it's something that you can also seek pleasure through when you are having a little horny evening and you're wanting a bit of something a bit more juicy happening in your life, and maybe you are masturbating, maybe you're not, you just want to dress up. Well, this is where my props of the day come in. We can play with toys, implements, even if it's just a teaspoon that you put in the freezer for a bit and it goes nice and cold. You can play with the things in your environment to tantalize your senses, to start to play with the dynamic. Is it the sound of this toy that you like? Is it the touch of the toy that you like? What are the things around you that turn you on? And how can you be playful in exploring them? And another key factor, I would say, is what we wear, which is where this outfit gets a little bit of a tweak. I'm putting on my latex top for you today, leaning into the Joy Clubs who are live streaming with me. Putting on something, a piece of outfit that is different from just your everyday joggers or your work suit or what you wear to go down to the pub. Putting on something and letting yourself play with that. Maybe it's a fresh pair of knickers. Maybe it's fishnet tights under your trousers. Maybe it's a piece of latex. Maybe it's a collar. Something that helps you just, get that little sassy sparkle up in the air and rolling through your day. And I think another part of the joy of dressing up or doing something to your appearance that can ignite the senses, there can tend to be a lot of pressure, again, like fear of not looking good enough or the conformativity. Maybe you're someone who really wants to dress up and sort of go extra femme with a wig and your makeup and a dress and those heels, and you're just not sure that you look good enough. Well, I really want you to take any of those thoughts of self-doubt and just focus on how it feels. Because sometimes these things that we enjoy dressing up as or into, the next day we might drop with a bit of shame, be like, God, why did I want to wear those knee-high boots and like gyrate against my mirror for an hour? Who am I? That's a very normal thought to have, those like, ooh. And I just want you in that moment to remember how much joy it brings you and that you don't need to feel any bloody shame. We don't want shame in our lives when we already have it hitting at us from every angle in society. So take this opportunity to release those senses of shame and start to embrace what makes you feel good. I also like wearing a little tutu. And what I like about this little tutu is that I can bend over and kind of flash my booty. And I can feel the sensation of the material against my bum and my thighs, and it's very playful and it's joyful. So kink attire, or things that make us feel good in our skin or aroused, they don't look one way. They can look any way. So on top of that, I want you to take with you this understanding of how you can be single and kinky on your own terms, in your own time, in your bedroom. Maybe you go for a walk and you just get caressed by the leaves of a tree, and that makes you feel really good, and you're in a really private spot, so you can just, you know, take your top off, flash the breasts or the chests, and just enjoy feeling that sensation of sun on the skin. Maybe that sort of exhibitionism, that nature nudist part is a kinky part of you that just wants to be released, and you are able to explore it. You don't have to wait for someone else to guide you by the hand to do it. In fact, you know yourself better than anyone else. So the more you can invest in that single solo kinkiness, the better equipped you are to share your body with someone else. And that's a beautiful truth, I would say. If you're wanting more sassy stepping stones to bring yourself up, the confidence levels up, then I'm really excited that I have 5 online workshops over the next couple of months. I've registered them all on Joy Club. You can find information on them via the We Are X app as well. And each workshop is tapping into these kinds of conversations, but going a bit bloody deeper. I'm helping you to understand all the things that impact our mindset, the stuff that doesn't serve us, opening up space so that we can explore way more liberatedly our sensuality, our sexuality, our confidence, our desires, our personalities, our passions. And then I'll lead us through exercises, practical steps that we can bring into our daily life to help untangle the knots and the things that are holding us back, and just get a bit more loose, a little bit more confident in who we are as individuals, the sassy way. So thank you as always for tuning in. I hope this has inspired you to wear a cheeky something under your outfit today, or maybe to have a more sensual shower with yourself, or maybe finally invest in that toy of choice. I've been Bethany. Please follow me over on Instagram at bxsassy2. I'm the founder of the multimedia platform The Sassy Show. It's on YouTube, it's on a podcast, it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, _The Sassy Show. And I'm constantly encouraging people to just live a more sassy life. So however that looks for you, I'm here to hear all about it. Thank you for tuning in. Lots of love. Bye-bye for now.